Greetings ladies and gentlefish, and welcome back to another World of Tanks game. This is another Chase the Ace video courtesy of yours truly, and we're dropping down a few tiers for this one. I am in the tier 3 Swedish tank destroyer, the IKV-72. Now, couple of things to note about this game. One, unlike most of the lower tier Chase the Ace videos I put up or games I show, this one's not going to be over quickly. We're here on Prokhorovka. This is going to be a long, drawn-out affair. 2, I don't really like the IKV-72. The shell velocity is painful, and that wouldn't be so bad if the gun hit hard, but it's, what, 110 alpha damage? Yeah, 97 pen, and if memory serves, at the time of playing this, I think I'd only just unlocked the top gun. And my crew in this game is made of potatoes. This is not even a 100% crew. So the view range is going to be worse, the rate of fire is worse, everything about the tank is going to be worse than it would be if the crew were worth a damn. This is still also an older replay. This is from patch 1.5.1.1.3.7.9, or I don't know. It's 1.5 point something, if memory serves. And we're just going to see how this goes. Now, we've come over to the 1 and 2 lines, because this is a lower tier game, and in lower tier games people often like to camp, and so my logic is, if people can be spotted down the bottom end of the 1 and 2 lines, I can go pew pew pew! And I also have the potential for shots over to where the AMX-38 was. Unfortunately, they all appear to be dying. Speaking of pew 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 pew, that's a Panzer B2. Now, I can penetrate him. I've got 90-something penetration, he's got 60-something millimeters of frontal armour, but it's not reliable and my accuracy isn't very good. If I were to switch to firing at premium AP, the penetration goes up to 120. And I could pack some high explosive, 175 average damage, 38 pen, it's pretty standard 75mm HE, if we're going to be honest. If you think of this gun as being essentially the gun from the M3 Lee / Grant, you won't go too far wrong. No, it's not a bad gun. I mean, down here at tier 3 especially, but the shell velocity is just so painful. I was very glad to ace this thing and never have to set foot in the damn tank again, if I'm being honest. Now, why the Panzer B2 has decided to go where he has, I'm not sure. Panzer B2s, because you can't really get hold of them anymore and they're sort of seal clubby tanks, they tend to be driven by relatively experienced players, which makes the impact of such tanks far greater than the actual qualities of the tank itself, because the driver is usually pretty decent. But this Panzer B2 appears to just be sat there. Oh well. I mean, we've already lost our Panzer B2. Well, there are 2 Panzer B2s on each team, I feel I should point out. We've already lost one of ours. Anyway, the scoreline is now 5-2. Our team got into a fairly early lead at 5-1, but you know what happens with teams that get into early leads? That's 6-2. It's not uncommon for them to just get a little bit big for their boots. Hello, Mr. Cruiser 4. How are you today? No, I haven't actually done any damage yet, and that shot misses, which is a little bit frustrating, but, well, you know, maybe we got a blind shot or 2 on that Panzer, who knows? Maybe we're getting a blind shot or 2 on the cruiser, who knows? That one might have hit, if we're lucky. But essentially, I've not done any damage yet, well, not that I'm aware of, which is kind of annoying. And the scoreline is 6-3, which is fine, it's not as good as 5-1, but, you know, it's okay, and that P26 looks like he's having a pretty poor day. Oh, we just lost our other Panzer B2. Oh, they came across a Matilda. Panzer B2 is a good tank, but mainly because of its super duper uber limited matchmaking, meaning it never sees anything other than tier 4 maximum games. However, if you're going to take it frontally against a Matilda, the Matilda's going to laugh at you and wreck your face. The Matilda is just a better tank, but the Matilda, of course, can see tier 5 and tier 6 matches. So you're really in the Panzer B2. You're really doubling down on that uber-duber super lovely matchmaking, essentially. Now, unfortunately, we're 4.5 minutes into this match. I'm still sat here on the 2 line, with very little to shoot at. The scoreline's now 7-5, which again, it's not terrible, but it's not as good as 5-1 was. And just waiting. Oh, there goes the enemy P26. Good. Well, that's 8-5. Oh, hopefully at least our team will win this one. I mean, you've already kind of got a bit of a spoiler from my intro that this will take a while, and I'm not telling you whether it's a win or a loss. It's going to be a messy affair. Alright, scoreline is 8-5. Now, if we're having a look at what each team have got left, we do have to respect that the enemy team have, among other things... Oh, T29, T29, T29... Pew! God damn it. 2 Panzer B2s that are still alive, and a Matilda. Yes, penetration there. Going for the turret here, because the turret on the Panzer B2 is weaker. So 2 Panzer B2s, a Matilda and a Hetzer. They are all very dangerous tanks, and... well, oh dear. Having one more blind shot over there. I don't think I've got direct shots onto this Marder, but you'll notice my entire flank just died apart from me. Taking a couple more blind shots here, and then I'm going to bug out. I do not have 6th sense on this crew, by the way. So, yeah. So, okay, the scoreline is now 9-8, and we have pretty convincingly lost the 1 and 2 lines, and we know there's a Panzer B2, a Cruiser 4, and a Marder 2 that are over there, and we know the Matilda is over on the other flank, on the 0 line, and that Matilda has 4 kills. What are we going to do about this? Now, for all the faults, by the way, of the IKB-72, it's relatively mobile. Or at least it is when you give it an opportunity to get up to speed. You can see here, I was doing 45 to 50 kilometers an hour, as long as I wasn't going uphill. Going uphill, you know, a lot of that speed's going to bleed away, obviously, and the Matilda just picks up a 5th kill. But our Hetzer manages to take down the Matilda, so all power to the mighty Hetzer, but shout out to that Matilda. Who are we looking at? Booker P, loving the name. 5 kills, nice job. He's definitely, I would say, kept his team in the running. Now, this is where I make a decision that you could argue about whether or not I'm doing the right thing. This game, in case it's not obvious by the way, was played quite a long time ago. So, I decide to set up my binos and keep an eye on the friendly base. My logic being that the other 2 tanks, or the other tanks on our team, the ones of note really, we've got Panzer S35, we've got a DW2, we've got a Hetzer. None of those are particularly quick. Sure, there's a 14 TP who's a little bit faster, but... and our team do appear to be pressing onward toward the enemy base. The problem, of course, being, what if the enemy decide to go for our base? So, on the basis that... that I don't want to leave our base completely open, I'm keeping an eye on it. Now, the problem, of course, here, and someone's suggesting they cap the enemy base, which is not a very good idea, because it's relatively easy to defend both of these cap circles from concealment, and shoot the cappers without being spotted yourself, and like it's just not gonna work. Now I actually spend quite a lot of time down here. The criticism here, well, there are several criticisms. One, whilst I'm keeping an eye on, there we go, the resets have started. Whilst I'm keeping an eye on our base, I'm not actually fighting anything or doing anything. Fair criticism. And there goes our Panzer S35. And our DW2, being the rock star that he is deciding that, you know, maybe I shouldn't join him, which is actually a relatively sensible decision, and I do point out we're not going to cap this. The other reason that you might be critical of this decision is if they do decide to cap, I mean, if they want to rush the cap, I could get outnumbered and overwhelmed. I am on my own up here, and I'm not in a top tier tank, and I don't have lots of armour, and there goes the DW2. So, this could go poorly. And someone else on our team is trying to cap the enemy base, and that's not going to go very well. And you can see here, by the way, that down here at tier 4, tier 3, you don't always have the radio range. Oh, there goes the 14 TP. You don't always have the radio range to know where all of your team are. Now, you could argue, I'm moving up here to the mid line, by the way. You could argue I should have done this sooner, because then enemy enemies, as opposed to friendly enemies, frenemies, any enemies who are spotted we could catch in a crossfire. And that's a fair point. And the mid-ridge, I want to be on the mid-ridge now because it allows you to go wherever you need. You're relatively central on the map. However, none of the enemies were spotted. Now, the friendly Hetzer does at least have a few brain cells to work with. And he's actually saying, come on IKV, fine, draw. Now, anyone who knows me or has spent any time on this channel will be aware that I'm not really in this for the drawing. Draws are essentially, to all intents and purposes, defeats. And there goes the Panzer B2, jolly good, and there goes the Cruiser 4. Maybe I should have pulled back behind the foliage, but then I think I'd have lost the actual shot on that cruiser. So the thing with a draw is it's not a win, so you're not going to get the XP and credit buffs, and you don't get the for winning, that is, and you don't get the prestige for winning, and you don't get the feel-good factor. So I don't see any point in playing for a draw, personally. So I don't. I play for wins. Now in this particular instance, the enemy, two of their one-shot tanks decided they wanted to assault a Hetzer, which, even without me here, would have been a pretty poor set of life choices. Our Hetzer's on about half health, but, I mean, he's perfectly capable of messing up two one-shot tanks. Anyway, now I'm saying that I've pointed out the enemy might decide to try and cap our base. And I want to stay on the mid-reach here because, well, if they do, I can go over and try and do something about it. But again, with the caveat that because my crew's rubbish, my view range is not going to be very good, even with binoculars. And the Hetz is saying, oh, there's a guy over there, and there's no great surprise, like he's probably being shot up, but they do have someone in our capture circle. I mean, that was pretty predictable. I'm never going to spot the guy from all the way back here, is the thing. And now there are two of them in our capture circle, and the friendly Hetzer decides to try and cap their base, which... Okay, now he's stopped. Alright, I don't think it's really going to work. Now, I really need to be getting some resets off here. And there's some spotting. Right, okay, so I've spotted them. Just back off so that these bushes are transparent. I've loaded the premium AP, and I'm just going to start shooting these guys. So, got a reset off on the Panzer B2. Gonna move forward to do some more spotting. And Hetzer on the roof. Na 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 na. And we're just gonna keep working this Hetzer over. Oh, that shot misses. I'm switched back to regular AP. But my next shot is gonna be premium AP. Oh, I'm spotted. This is bad, this is bad. But our Hetzer, being the rockstar he is, has moved up to the central ridge, and he actually picks up the kill on the Panzer B2. So there's a Hetzer over here who now doesn't know which way to look. One more shot should kill him off. The Hetzer kills the Marder. And there we go. Managed to work together with that Hetzer, and we actually pick up the win between us with 1 minute 40 left on the match. So there we go. We had a poor start. It was a pretty long game, and you can definitely question a couple of the decisions I made in that match. But toward the end, even though we were outnumbered, we were able to work together with someone else on our team, and we were able to make a win out of it, which I find quite entertaining, partly because if you peruse the World of Tanks forums or anything for any particular time, you'll come across someone who has decided that one person can't make a difference, because if they acknowledge that someone could make a difference, then they would also have to acknowledge that maybe they could be putting in a little bit more effort or something like that. Anyway, let's have a look at the post-game stats for this one. So there we go, not the most exciting game in the world perhaps, but I really wanted to show it for you for that end section, working together with another person on our team to pull a win out of a potentially rather dubious situation. So we aced the IKV, which was a surprise to me. I wasn't expecting that to be an ace. I didn't think it felt very good, but then, to be fair, you'll see the damage count in a moment. We did rack up a respectable amount of damage, and one or two of our blind shots on that Panzer B2 toward the beginning of the game did actually hit and penetrate. So we actually did more damage than we saw. And we picked up a Defender medal, and remember the Panzer B2s, the Hetzers, they're all higher tier than us. And even the Cruiser 4 was at the time of this recording equal tier. So, nice positive XP multiplier for that. Shout out to the Hetzer on my team, 777 Nicolo 7 base. Nicolo. Shout out to him. Lovely bit of teamwork with him. Nice to play with you, my friend. Really well done. Congratulations. Good result. And a shout out also on the enemy team to their Matilda. Poor guy. Bokka P. 5 kills. 1,776 damage in a tier 4 tank before they buffed all the hit point pools at the lower tiers. That's a really solid result from him. It's just a shame for him that, with the exception of his fine self, the rest of his team weren't as good as our team. And that's really what it came down to. Our team in general performed better than their team, but their top performer during the early to mid stages of that match was doing some work. The rest of his team couldn't keep up though, and that's a bit of a heartbreak for him. Unfortunate there. But we did 844 damage in the end, picked up 2 kills, 694 base experience was enough for that ace. 23 shots fired, 11 hits. Yeah, the gun is a little bit derpy. 9 penetrations for that damage count. Most of it was from relatively close range, though we were still trying to make use of camouflage mechanics. 2 enemy vehicles spotted, 4 damage, 2 destroyed, 164 assistance damage, 99 base defense points for that Defender medal, and 2.16 kilometers travelled. We made a small loss in credits because we fired some premium AP to deal with the Hetzer and the Panzer B2 in a kind of pressurised situation. I don't regret that at all. A little bit of a credit loss isn't going to bother me. We managed to pull a win out of the bag at the end. And there we go. That was the match. Hope you guys enjoyed, even though it was a little low tier one. Some of you like that. If you did, by all means feel free to click various things that are popping up on the screen for you. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't done so. If you want to support the channel, or support the channel in another way, I suppose, there is of course a Patreon link in the description, and I wish you very happy hunting on that battlefield. Ciao ciao.